I am Elise Raphael, the Scientific Officer of the Research Station, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker today, who will be Anton Alexeyev, one of the two co-directors of the Research Station from the University of Geneva.
Thank you, Elise. I would like just to say some words about this inauguration ceremony of the Research Station. But what is the Research Station? So I just wanted to give you some hints about it. So as probably all of you know, SwissMap itself is a joint venture of the Swiss National Science Foundation together with the University of Geneva and ETH Zurich. So these are our main sponsors. And SwissMap is a temporary construction. So it has 3 phases. Each of them is long, 4 years, but in the end of 12 years, SwissMap will stop being because it's a temporary program. And then there was a question, what will be the structures or what will be the things which remain after SwissMap stops its run? And the SwissMap Research Station is one of the ideas of what should remain after SwissMap. So this is a conference center here in Les Diapleret, which is already running some activities and which hopefully will be running activities after the end of SwissMap. It is created jointly by the University of Geneva and ETH Zurich. And technically speaking, the 2 universities decided that it will be a unit, so-called faculty center at the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Geneva. Now let me show you some facts about this station, about this center. So first of all, well, sorry for self-advertisement. The pictures of people who are running this center will all be speaking here today, and other people as well. And actually, that's not us who are taking decisions of what happens at the center. So there are these distinguished people who are named by the University of Geneva and by ETH Zurich. So there are some local people, there are some external people, there are some senior scientists and junior scientists, and they jointly decided of what are the activities that should happen at the research station. So in fact, it happens once a year. There is a call for proposals. They are looking at those proposals and they are choosing what the station will do. I will show you a bit more information about it in the next slide. So that's the website of the station. You can probably search it on Google, SwissMap Research Station or SRS, or you can go there through the SwissMap website. You see they're trying to choose some kind of matching logos for SwissMap, which is in red, and for the research station, which is in blue. Thanks to the great help of our partner called the Source here, we now have some wonderful lecture hall. You see the picture of it, and we'll see it actually in this afternoon after this opening ceremony. You see it is equipped with those blackboards which were purchased by ETH Zurich, and you don't see it that well, but there is some kind of very advanced video and audio system which was purchased by the University of Geneva to equip that room. And for smaller events, you see there is there a picture of another room, also at the Hotel Les Sources. And we were using for quite some time this Congress House in Les Diapleret, and we hope to continue using it for big events, like for instance this one. So we would not fit in the lecture hall at the Hotel Les Sources, so we're here in this wonderful lecture hall in the Les Diapleret Congress House. So now just to tell you, already in this year, in 2021, there was a very nice program which was selected by our scientific council. You probably cannot read very well, but you see that there are many events. And here I just given you some list. Some of those events were actually organized more or less as planned, even though that was a very complicated COVID year. So, for instance, we started already in the beginning of January with a winter school. Usually, winter school of SwissMap fills all of these big lecture hall and the Congress House. But that time, I think I forgot on site we were 4 or 5. I think that 5 was the maximum number allowed, and everybody else was online. But well, I mean, it was the best possible under circumstances. And then I think the event on the summer school on quantum thermodynamics, I think most of the planned participants, so I think this was in the end of August, there most of the participants could actually come here in Les Diableraires. So I recall they requested to have all during the whole week the vegan food. So, which was, I think, kind of complicated, but the hotel met their demand. Right, and these are the things, you see there is a list of roughly half of the things which are postponed or which will be moved to the next year. So I think for this COVID year, kind of already 50%, that's not a bad result. Of course, we would hope to have everything happen, but some of the events, they are probably better postponed because people really want to meet and collaborate, and online format might be not ideal. So, so these are the pictures of some of the events which actually did take place this year. You see, for instance, as I said, this thermodynamics school, you see the SwissMap lecture hall and the Hotel Resource, which are more or less filled. And there were some events there was less people. And also, of course, here they are profiting from being in the heart of the Swiss Alps. And so you see here participants of one of the events who are profiting from the nature. Right. So again, probably you don't see the details, but there is a very exciting program coming up for 2022. I think normally we are supposed to be able to organize 12 events, but our council has chosen 14 events for the next year. Well, hopefully it all works out. Of course, we don't know with the pandemic how it develops, but we very much hope that it will be possible to continue having at least hybrid events or maybe fully on-site events. Now, there is one aspect, as I said, the lecture hall in Les Sources is equipped with a nice system for making videos. And now we already have quite a good collection of videos. You can easily find it on the Research Station website. And there you find both kind of interesting talks or even some mini courses. So you can have a look. There are already quite a lot of subjects which are covered. And of course, we hope this collection to grow. Now, the call for proposals for 2023 is open now until the end of September, or maybe we can say until the end of September plus epsilon, right? In case you need a little bit more time. So think about the events you people want to organize in 2023. We do want to have some very exciting events, and of course, more proposals, more diverse proposals we have, better for us and better for the future of the station. I should say that on the market of centers which organize events out of town, they're still a rather small player. So we would like to have very high quality events to kind of continue establishing of our reputation. So please do help us. Right, so if you want to organize an event, of course, look at the information on our website or contact Elise because she's managing collecting all the proposals. Or maybe just write to this contact of SwissMap RS, CH. And I would like to end my presentation by bridging a little bit to some of the next talks. You know, this idea, of course, of organizing a research station in Les Diableraires in particular, but also in general in Swiss Alps, this idea which has deep roots, In fact, people were organizing scientific events here in Les Diablerets and in other places nearby already for quite some time. And locally for us, mathematicians in Geneva, there is a particular person who invented this idea and who pioneered this idea. So this was one of our famous faculty, Michel Kerber. He was a very cool guy, as you can easily see from that picture, right? So he figured out that it might be more productive and more interesting to go out of town and to invite there both local students and famous mathematicians from abroad and to organize some activities. So in some way, I'm not sure whether he actually organized something here, but definitely the idea of out-of-town events, locally he is one of the authors, and probably other people speaking after me will tell you more about the history. So thank you very much and welcome.
The next person I'd like to invite to say a few words is Stanislas Nironov from the University of Geneva, who is the co-director of the Swiss MAP National Competency for Research Center.
It's, can I have the previous slide, please?
You're free to use it. Don't forget the microphone.
Yeah, I think I then will start with an anecdote about Michel Kerber, taught to me by one of our other elders, Andre Heftiger, that once when he organized the conference, he returns, and then next day he's very angry, saying, you know, Fond National really become very bad organization. They refused this time to reimburse 3 bottles of kirsch we drank at the conference. How could they have known that just you and me drank all the 3 bottles? So that's a big illustration to this. Michel indeed was a very interesting person. To mathematicians, he is known for perhaps the most lasting contribution to these Kerber-Milnor spheres, which are exotic spheres in dimensions 8. And to us, he started much of the activities here. It's quite interesting because, for example, one of the first conferences, he invited Bill Thurston to speak about his project of classifying cogeometries in dimension 3, and some years later, Perelman came to actually tell his proof how to do it. So there is this continuity. So he started it in 70s, I think 74, 75, and it changed several times. I think the first conferences were in chalet of one of his friends, and people were just sleeping in sleeping bags in the main room. But he was very much into, joie de vivre, into nice kirsch and nice food. And he actually, I think he and his friends, they invited some Michelin chef to prepare to cook for the group. So they were sleeping in sleeping bags, but eating nice food. And we changed the place several times, and I was trying to remember, I think the first conference here was in actually 1997. So I wanted to come up with a round number, so it's 24 years. So if you want round number, it's 25th year we have conferences here. So it's now 25th year if you count from it. So is it a lot, 25 years? So if you compare it to history of Les Diablerets or Geneva or Zurich universities, not so much, but on the other hand, I think it's enough to establish a mathematical proof that this is the best place to do mathematics, since for 25 years we have it here. And for that, I would very much like to thank the Commune of Armand du Sud, the Village of Diablerets. Thank you very much. And of course, the hotels of Les Sources and Weismantel, represented here by M. Robiti and M. Wagner. So thank you very much. 25 years, it's a lot, so thank you. And if you compare it to other similar centers, I think the oldest institute having conferences, Metal Fleur Institute in Stockholm, and it just celebrated 100th birthday since they organized it. But in reality, they run conferences only for 70 years since Leonard Carlson became the director. So it's well, we're not going to catch up with them because each time we get 1 year older, we also get 1 year older. but somehow in Berlin, so it's not so far away. And I hope very much that we will gather here for 50 years and maybe some more. And thank you very much. And let us all wish happy continuation. And I want to bring photos. I'll bring them to the 50-year ceremony. I actually found photos from that conference, but okay, in 25 years' time. Thank you.
So if we can even envision seeing this research station work in 50 years' time, it's also thanks to our partner institutions. So NCCR is a collaboration between the University of Geneva and ETH Zurich. And I'd like to invite Brigitte Galliot, the Vice Rector for the University of Geneva, to say a few words.
Thank you, Elise. My name is Brigitte Galliot. I'm Vice Rector for Research at the University of Geneva. And I was following this endeavor for 3 years now. I'm extremely happy to be here today. I can tell you that you hear nice words, but it was a long journey for all the promoters of this really adventure. They started to have to convince us, because we know very well in Switzerland that mountains are beautiful places to have events, especially in the summer or maybe sometimes in the winter. But having the ambition to organize 12 or 14 events every year and attract people all over Switzerland, but also Europe and the world, it's a very big ambition. And I have to say that for the university administration, for the rectorate, we have to be convinced. I am completely convinced now that this is really a beautiful project. This is really a vibrant place, and modern universities need such vibrant places. So I am extremely happy to see how it will develop. And I very much hope that it will be a beautiful example for all young scientists, because I know that here with the collaborative spirit you are going to promote, it will be a tremendous help for the relay, for the next generation of young scientists. And this is really something we wanted to have, and I heard it just from you that we want to attract foreign researchers to also organize meetings here. So I want to deeply thank you for all your efforts over these many years. I want to thank our colleagues from Zurich, because they had to follow also that project. It's relatively far from Zurich. I want to thank also a representative from Les Diablerets, who were embarked on the project for right from the beginning, actually, and all the staff who worked very, very hard. They really need that we applaud them. They did a really great job, and I'm so happy to see the inauguration day today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brigitte, for these kind words. Our next speaker will be an ETH representative, the Professor Robert Weismantel from the head department of mathematics at the ETH. I will ask for a minute of patience that I can switch to Zoom, as he will be speaking to us from Zurich.
So I'm Robert Weismantel, and I'm the chair of the math department. And in fact, I was asked by the vice president of research to represent here ETH, and I'm very happy to do that, even though I apologize for not being here in person. ETH has a long tradition in mathematics and physics. In particular, the interplay of the two disciplines, call it mathematical physics, has always been a source to attract stellar researchers from all over the world to ETH. From what I have seen as a chair of the math department in my interaction with the school board, I can strongly confirm that ETH on all levels supports the development of the discipline of mathematical physics. This is in particular witnessed by the recent promotions and hirings within the math department to strengthen the math physics group. And here I would like to mention the promotion of Thomas Wilbach to the rank of a full professor. I would also like to take this opportunity and welcome Peter Hinz, who came from MIT as a tenured professor to the math department at ETH. And last but not least, Pierrick Bouzon is a new assistant professor who will start in January his position in ETH. So all these people are in mathematical physics. Since several years, the field of mathematical physics has gained further momentum by the NCCR grant SwissMap. This initiative is led by the University of Geneva and ETH Zurich. It shows us what one can achieve by collaborating on a Swiss-wide level. In view of the current developments, in particular in Asia, this collaborative model between universities in Switzerland is indeed a role model and perhaps a view towards the future. As I understand it, the research station in Les Diablerets is the legacy of the SwissMap that will continue the collaborative spirit by hosting, for example, conferences, summer-winter schools, and coordinating all kinds of outreach activities. The research station will exist far beyond the duration of the NCCR grant, and ETH is fully committed to support it. Given that I know many of the involved people here, I'm confident that the research station will become a big success and develop very well. I wish you all the best so that this will indeed happen in the future. This is the end.
Maybe once more to be sure. So thank you very much to Professor Robert Weismantel for this nice talk. And I would like to invite someone else from the University of Geneva, our Dean of the Faculty of Sciences, to say a few words.
Thank you, Elisa. So, welcome everyone. It's okay. It's a really great pleasure for me to be here face to face, in person, together for this inauguration of the SwissMap research station. It's a true pleasure for many reasons, and one of them, and let me just make sure that I'm right, is because of the symbol that you said. So again, it's very well known for the SwissMap, but for chemists, this is a molecule. This is seriously a molecule which has attracted chemists for many years. There are articles from the 19th century describing how impossible it would be to make this molecule. So this is what we call a trifold knot. I'm sure this is different in mathematics, but this compound is a chiral structure with two enantiomers, a left-handed enantiomer, so this way for you, okay? A right-handed enantiomer, the mirror image, of course, non-superposable, and chemists have wanted to make this on gram scale. And I don't know if you know, but there is a Nobel Prize attached to this molecule, that of Jean-Pierre Sauvage from Strasbourg. So the only thing that I can ask you as a chemist, can you organize a conference on mathematical chemistry in this conference? This would be a fantastic topic for the future, trying to bring chemists, yes, indeed, to the Diablerets, okay, to think about topological links between chemistry and mathematics. This would be wonderful. Jean-Pierre Sauvage would come and give you a lecture from this. Okay, point number one, this is just the chemist speaking. But more importantly, I've been a dean, and I always had the pleasure to have in my team a mathematician. And every time, Brigitte was in the team at the time also, we were talking about laboratories, experimental research. Martin Gander was telling me, a research station is all laboratory. A research station is where we need to be together with mathematicians, secluded for a week, essentially, drawing with as many blackboard as possible, okay, and thinking all together. Okay, so he told us this one time, 10 times, 100 times, if you know Martin. But the important fact here, which was really great, is that there is a realization. And then what he reminded me, and I'm going to try to see, is that there is always history, okay, when you do this. And then he told me, of course, that all this is possible because of examples like Oberwolfach, okay, in Germany, or CIRM also in France. And then he told me that when BENF was created, there was a little justification, and let me read these words. The inspiration comes from the station nestled in a small German village of Oberwolfach in the Black Forest. The Mathematicians Forschung Institute, which holds weekly workshops year-round that attract the finest mathematical scientists in the world. France followed suit in the 80s by establishing a similar center at Luminy in southern France. Oberwolfach and Luminy are international treasures. And I like that terms, I like that description. And the only thing that I can really hope is that the Diableret, really within very few weeks, months, years, will become actually as internationally renowned. And I really believe that it will be the case. So for me, 2021 is actually whatever we hear, a wonderful year. We have attracted quite a few people in Geneva together with her son, Alba Grassi, Sasha, who's here in the audience, of course, from Princeton. We will have also Vincent Vargas in a few months, together with theoretical physics in Geneva. Wonderful minds have come to Geneva, and I'm sure they will, we're going to be blessed by their contribution. Together with the research station, I cannot, hope for a better, actually, realization for the mathematicians this year. So thank you, okay, the Swiss Math Station, ETH, Geneva, for this wonderful realization. Really, and all the best for the future and a very prosperous, okay, construction of the station. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jérôme. I believe some people in the audience could argue that Le Diableret is already an international treasure. So I'd like to invite one of them, the president of the Association of Tourism from the axe Le Diableret Villars-Grillon, Sergei Ashwanden, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Elise. Small correction, I'm not the president, I'm just the CEO of the touristical destination Villars-Grillon-Les-Diableret, but this isn't the problem. And I'm not Russian, even if my name is Sergei. Since this morning, I'm quite stressed, and I'm going to tell you why I have a trauma with mathematics. When I was at high school, we had some exams in statistics, and I failed. And I was thinking, okay, I've done it with mathematics. And for 9 years ago, I finished my studies at the University of Lausanne, and I had again mathematics. Dérivés, comment on dit les dérivés premières et dérivés? Derivative. Exactly, you understand? And in micro and macroeconomics, and it was also catastrophic. So I'm thinking how I'm going to do to give you some information and tell you how happy I am that you are here in the Diableret and making that mathematicians find it cool and understand what I'm saying, as I understand nothing from mathematics. So if I resume what was said today, to be good or to have a good research station, you need good food, good drinks, good places to sleep, and good nature. And I'm glad to tell you we have everything. We have very good places where you have wine grapes in Bay, we have a glacier, and in between we have a ski resorts. We have some beautiful mountains, we have some beautiful restaurants, we have some beautiful bars, and they're even here, just a couple of meters from here, a beautiful disco. So I'm absolutely sure you're going to have fun. You're going to be very productive, that is for sure. And the second point, which makes me very enthusiastic, is that you want to work on the long term. As I understood, we are only at 25 years. These numbers are understandable. So 25 years, and you still want to come for the next 25 years. So you're welcome, and if we can help, we're here for you. Thank you for your attention. Have fun, and hope to see you soon.
I've only been coming here for, I think, 7 to 8 years, but I can confirm pretty much all the points you mentioned. I think I've tried them all. So I invite now Lucien Morero, representing the commune de Diableret, to say a few words as well.
Merci. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous vous souhaitons une cordiale bienvenue et c'est avec un grand plaisir. Vous avez besoin d'un micro. C'est un grand plaisir que nous vous accueillons dans la commune d'Ormontieux. Je vous remercie pour votre aimable invitation à cette cérémonie et d'ouverture de la station de recherche SwissMap. Et par ma présence, je vous transmets les salutations de notre syndic, M. Christian Reber, ainsi que toute la municipalité. Notre commune vit principalement du tourisme, d'agriculture et d'artisanat. En effet, toute la région des Alpes vaudoises dont nous faisons partie possède un grand et magnifique domaine skiable. Nous-mêmes reliés à Villard-Grillon, de plus, nous avons beaucoup de sentiers pédestres et de circuits vélo-VTT. Je pense que vous avez pu les essayer. Nous nous attelons de plus en plus à développer bon nombre d'activités afin de bénéficier d'un tourisme de 4 saisons qui puisse plaire aussi bien aux familles qu'aux sportifs. Le glacier est incontestablement le fleuron de notre région, de par son domaine skiable hivernal, mais aussi par son point de vue sur toutes les Alpes environnantes en toute saison. L'agriculture prenant également une grande place dans les activités de notre commune, notre région, les Alpes vaudoises, pays d'en haut, compte environ une centaine d'alpages, ce qui représente environ 8 de familles qui passent l'été dans leurs chalets, dans lesquels sont fabriqués un fromage d'appellation d'origine protégée au nom de l'Étiva. La quantité annuelle représente environ 14 000 pièces d'environ 30 kilos qui sont affinées dans les caves de l'Étiva. C'est un petit village tout proche de chez nous. Ce fromage a un goût particulier de montagne et il s'exporte dans le monde entier. Et puis on aura l'apéro, Patrick en a prévu, donc vous pourrez le goûter. Notre commune dispose également d'un grand territoire forestier exploité pour le bois de construction pour faire nos chalets et puis pour le chauffage à distance, par exemple pour ce bâtiment. Notre région compte également beaucoup de petites et moyennes entreprises spécialisées dans la construction. Je ne terminerai pas ce petit mot sans parler de l'hôtellerie et de la restauration ainsi que des commerces du village. Après ces temps difficiles dus à la pandémie, sont contents de retrouver un peu de normalité et pouvoir vous recevoir à nouveau dans leurs établissements. Il est évident que des manifestations comme la vôtre contribuent à l'épanouissement de toute notre économie villageoise. Nous vous remercions d'avoir choisi les Diablerets pour votre inauguration et nous nous souhaitons de passer un excellent séjour dans notre belle région.
Merci beaucoup pour ces quelques mots et votre présence à cette cérémonie d'inauguration. To conclude, I will give the microphone to Professor Renato Renner from the ETH Zurich, who is the co-director of the research station. And that's the one you want.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Elise. So as Elise said, I'm the co-director, and I actually also participated in the recent event on quantum thermodynamics that was mentioned by Anton Alexeyev before. And I think the remarkable thing about that event was that it was completely vegan. So the lunches, the dinner, everything was vegan. And you see, this is kind of a remarkable transition over the 100 years when the idea was created with nice kirsch. I'm not sure he expected that in 100 years later we would actually have vegan conferences. But the hotel coped with that extremely well. And so this also brings me to actually the content of my speech. I just want to thank people. And so first of all, I would really like to thank the Hotel Les Sources, which will, I think, provide in the future and this very nice infrastructure that you have seen with the conference room that we will actually going to visit after the speeches. And I've stayed there, I think, for more than 10 years. Every year, it was always really a pleasure to be hosted by people there. The Eurotel is now for me a new location. I'm staying there, and I would also like to thank them for offering to host participants, because what we are planning to do is sometimes to have very kind of bigger workshops, at least bigger for mathematics standards, but many workshops will also be on a smaller scale and completely hosted in this source. Okay, thanking people. I think there are mostly institutions, but also individual people who actually pushed us to do this research station. The idea was old, but I think it also needed the force of the review panel of the SwissMap to really put an emphasis on that and tell us that we really should have something that remains after SwissMap ends. And that's what we did. And I think we now have some very nice thing, and that's hopefully sustainable. Then, of course, I should also thank the Swiss National Science Foundation for the support, and then the University of Geneva, who will actually make sure that we will be financed in the future, as well as ETH Zurich, which also committed to funding over the lifespan of the Swiss map, or after the lifespan of Swiss map. When I was usually talking to people and telling them that I'm going to a conference in Le Diableret, they were always telling me, oh, I was there for skiing. So it seems that this is an extremely visible place, an internationally visible place for skiing, for nature, and maybe also for hiking. We here have, hopefully in the future, many very visible mathematicians. Obviously, SwissMath already features or has a good international, let's say, standing. I think an excellent standing. And I hope we can combine these two things and build a symbiosis so that in the future, if I ask someone random on the street, I'm going to Le Diableret, he will tell me, are you going to this research station that is there? Okay, I think that's also, I would just again reiterate my invitation to you to visit the actual conference place in the Hotel Les Sources and the beautiful math exhibition, which should be there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Renato, and thank to all of our speakers today. I'd like to get a warm round of applause for everyone once more.